Hello everyone, Lana Dow here. Welcome to HRDQ-U's Wednesday webinar, Play Your Cards Right, How to Use Card Games to Increase Learning Outcomes. Presented by our experts today, Dr. Silasailam Tyagarajan and Tracy Tagliati of the Tyagi Group. Our webinar is going to last about an hour, and then at the end we will announce an exclusive offer for you, our attendees. If you haven't printed out the handout yet, scroll down on the page if you're on the web there, and you'll see the link below that you can access that and go ahead and print it while we get started here. We're in a new platform today, as you can see. It's kind of fun playing around with it. There are a couple of housekeeping items that I'd like to mention right here before we begin. You'll notice that we're in the blog. This is actually a blog, and you're welcome to stay and browse around after we're done. There are a few articles up. We're just in the baby stages of it, and the chat window there is visible to everyone. As you can see, we're having a little conversation going on there. So if you haven't joined the chat, go ahead and put your name in and join us there. This is where you will respond to the presenter. It's going to be a highly interactive presentation today, so log in so you can give your responses. For your technical questions, there were some questions about the audio and so forth. Those go in the question box at the bottom of the page, and we have a customer service representative waiting there to help you. You put your email address in when you ask the question, and then she will answer you by email. I'm also going to be checking that box because at the end of the broadcast we're going to be fielding questions to have a Q&A time, and I'll be going into that area to see your questions and bring them to our presenters today. Don't forget to download your free ebook. That's also on the page below, Practical Advice Card Games, with 20 card games in it by Tyagi and Tracy. So that's your free gift from them for taking time to be with us on this live broadcast today. And after the broadcast, you're going to receive a follow-up email when we have the recording available up and loaded. Okay, that's all we have for that. Let's get started. Today I am delighted to welcome to our HRDQ-U webinar Dr. Silasailam Tyagarajan and Tracy Tagliati of the Tyagi Group. Tyagi is a resident mad scientist at the Tyagi Group, an organization that helps people to improve performance effectively and enjoyably. He has published 40 books, over 100 games and simulations, and more than 200 articles. Tyagi has made hundreds of presentations and keynote speeches at professional conferences. He has served as the president of the North American Simulation and Gaming Association, International Society for Performance Improvement, and the Association for Special Education Technology. Tyagi has received numerous awards, including the ISPI Honorary Life Member Award and the I. Phil Reynolds Award. Tracy Tagliati is the training manager at Move Incorporated and an associate at the Tyagi Group. Tracy specializes in activities-based training for both instructor-led and web-based environments. She holds a bachelor's degree in business education and a master's degree in training and performance. Tracy is active in the American Society for Training and Development, the ASTD, the North American Simulation and Gaming Association, and the International Society for Performance Improvement. She's presented at numerous international conferences, and she is the co-author of JOLTS, Activities to Weigh Up and Engage Your Participants, and Playing with Style. Welcome, and thank you for joining us today, Tyagi and Tracy. Are you there? Hello? I can see you. Are you there? Oh, wow. Okay, put in the chat room, Tracy, the last 4 digits of your phone number. It looks like you called in on the guest line. So when I muted all the guests, muted you too. So put in your last 4 so I can find you, if you would. Okay, I think I've got you here. Workshops by T and move. Okay, let's go. I can hear you now. Go ahead.
You can hear us now?
Yes, yes.
We like to get you excited, Lana.
Thank you very much. At least we got it figured out.
Hello, can you hear me?
Well, we're excited, and I know Lana's been working so hard with this new webinar platform, so we like to throw her a little loop like that right in the beginning. Hey, Tiagi, I was listening to your bio. That's pretty impressive. I want to add some things to my bio, so as long as yours.
Okay, it's actually my obituary.
Good. Well, we're excited to be here today to show you how you can use cards to build fluency in your participants. So when you're providing them with content, if you just do a content dump, they're not going to remember anything. But if you use this opportunity to use games and activities, we feel that they're going to understand and remember the material better. We're going to show you how we do it. So Tiagi, let's show them what our objectives are for today.
Okay.
Go ahead, you get us started.
Okay, so we are going to be giving a background on the HRDQ personal style profile. That is the substantive content. Our presentation will deal both with content and activities. The content is the personal style profiles according to HRDQ. Tracy.
Yes, and then we're going to conduct 3 types of card games to achieve training objectives. Now, the handout we provided you has many more card games. We'll show you a sample of 3 of them.
And not only are there different types of card games, you can create a deck of cards and you can use the same deck to play 25 different games. So we will explore that possibility briefly.
And then we're going to encourage you to plagiarize these card games. Make your own. So we're going to provide you the templates of them. Of course, you can buy them if you wanted to, but you can also use this as an opportunity to make your own cards as well. So let's go to the next slide, Tiagi, and tell them about the 3 formats.
Okay, today we are going to be talking about 3 specific types of cards, even though we have 20 different listed in the handout. One of them is called classification cards. They deal with different categories like personality types and things of that nature.
And we're also going to talk about practical advice cards, and we'll show you what those are.
And finally, we will deal with the fluency cards, cards that force you to pay attention and to master concepts and principles and procedures.
But Tiagi, we're not just going to tell them about the cards. We want to actually have them play the cards. And of course, we've adapted them for the webinar, but we're going to give them an exact experience of what it would be like to play with them. But we want to be able to provide them with some content that they can use so they can play the cards effectively. So we're going to give you some of the content, as we promised we would, about the HRDQ profiles. So here's what the profiles look. And I'm going to start in the upper left-hand corner. This is the direct type of communicator. And you can see the direct type of communicator is fast-paced because above the red triangle it says fast-paced. That means they move fast and they talk fast. And they're very highly assertive. It means they're not afraid to tell you what they want. They're also, if you look to the left of that, they're very task-oriented. It's about getting the job done. And lower expressiveness, so they're not going to be really emotional about things. Now, if you move to the right, you can see the spirited, and that's in the orange diamond shape. And they have a lot in common with the direct communicator. You can see that they're also fast-paced. They talk fast, they walk fast, and they're highly assertive. They don't mind telling people what they need or what they want. But unlike the direct communicator, these folks are very people-oriented. It's all about people. Who's going to be there? And they're also about highly expressiveness. So they are very emotional, lots of inflection in their voice. If you look below that, you see a green circle, and that represents the considerate folks. And they have in common with the spirited folks that they're also very people-oriented and highly expressive. But unlike the spirited folks, you can see that these folks are slower paced. They talk at a slower rate and lower assertiveness. They also are the people who ask for permission versus telling you, right? And then finally, if you move to the left, you'll see the blue square, and this represents the systematic communicators. And the systematic communicators have in common with the considerate folks that they are also slower paced and lower in assertiveness. But unlike the considerate, these folks are not people-oriented, but rather task-oriented. It's again like the direct communicators, about getting the job done, lower expressiveness. So if I had to say it in a nutshell, if I was driving from my office here in Westlake Village and I was driving to Tiagi's office in Bloomington, Indiana, the person who I'd like to drive the car would be the direct, because I know that direct person is going to get us there. They're very results-oriented. The spirited person would be the one who I wanted making the music mix, right, and playing I Spy in the back seat. The considerate folks would be the ones who made the sandwiches and make sure we got our breaks when we needed them. And the systematic, well, that's who I'd want reading the maps and making sure we made all the stops on time and make sure we got there on time. So they'd be reading the charts and maps and graphing everything. To just give you one more brief overview with them, if you were jumping out of an airplane, the direct communicator would be the one who says, go, go, go. And the spirited communicator would be the one who says, yippee, as they were jumping out. And the considerate one would be saying, are you nervous? Are you feeling okay? And the systematic, well, the systematic folks would be the one who would making sure that your parachute was packed appropriately and that you were at the right altitude and so forth. So I think you've got the idea, but Tiagi, show them what it looks like in a nutshell here.
Thank you, Tracy. My God, I'm still jumping off the airplane. Okay, good. So here is another little cheat sheet. Here are the 4 different styles, and here are some pointers. In case you don't have time to administer a profile, collect all of the data and so on, you can collect some behaviors, some typical types of things, and go directly back to Marston. And you can say if somebody is talking quickly and getting to the point, that person is most likely to be direct. You guys listen to Tracy talking and explaining. How would you classify her style? So take a guess. Based on this little table, is she direct? Is she spirited? Is she considerate? Or is she systematic? Type on the chat area. Hey, Mike, Halperin says you're spirited. You're probably right, Mike. And have you tried the colors? No, but I believe in astrology because I'm a Scorpio. Anyhow, we could explain the HRDQ profile by giving a death by PowerPoint lecture for a long period of time. Instead of that, our approach is let us have some hands-on, active, playful approach to mastering these concepts. So Tracy, before we do that, should we do a pre-test?
Yeah, let's have the participants do a self-assessment. So with the information you have about the HRDQ profiles, how would you rate yourself right now on your ability to understand them? Would you say you're a 1, that you're not very confident, like you really didn't get it at all? Or maybe you are a 5, you're very confident and you're an expert, or somewhere in between. So where would you say you are right now? Type in the chat box. They're all still thinking about it, Tiagi. I'm going to read their minds telepathically, and I'm getting about a 3. What are you reading?
I'm getting a 2.73.
And some people people might already be familiar with the HRDQ profiles. And the point of sharing that with you, again, is just to give you some content. Now, if you were teaching somebody some other content, you could use the cards in a different way. So that was just to provide some content so that we could play these games. But look at all these folks. They're actually saying they're a 4 and a 5. They're already experts at this.
Hey, Eric, can you recite the value of pi to the 20th decimal place? Okay. Being funny. Back to task.
Okay, so Tiagi, tell them about the type of card games again.
Okay, we got classification card games, practical advice cards, and fluency cards. And Tracy, if you take me to the next slide, we will begin with the classification cards. And this is what HRDQ's playing with style classification cards look like. Can we do a zoom on that, Tracy? Can we do a close-up? Good. Here is a typical card. There are cards from Ace of Clubs to King of Diamonds. This is the King of Spades card. Every card has a card designation like King of Spades in this case, and it also has a statement. Before I make a decision, I consider how it will affect others. And this is typed in both directions, so people don't have to stand on their head to read what is on the card. So the key element is the behavior. Before I make a decision, blah, 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 which style do you think it belongs to? That is the heart of the game. You'll have to make a decision. But if you want to cheat, somewhere in the book you will see a feedback table. And if you look across King of Spades, that's why we put the card classification, it says considerate. So that's a behavior associated with considerate people. So enough theory. Tracy, let's play a game.
That's what I was going to say. Let's play, enough talking, right? We want them to actually experience this. So we're going to start off with the Categorize game. That's our first game, and it's actually a type of Categorize game, and it's actually called Classify. So here are the instructions to play the game Classify. You're going to see a slide that's coming up next, and your job is to review the text that's written on the card. And your job then is to decide which one of the personal style each card is associated with. Now we're going to announce one of the 4 styles, and then your job is to determine which card represents that style by correctly marking it in the poll question. And you'll see that the poll questions are down below. So if you scroll down a little bit, you'll see answer the questions here, question 1 and question 2. So let's go and take a look at the cards. All right, now if you can't read them, I'm going to read the Ace of Clubs. The Ace of Clubs says, to avoid conflict, I often tell people what they want to hear. The 7 of Hearts says, I seem to be popular with others. The Queen of Diamonds says, do you want to read that one, Tiagi?
During meetings, I like to lead the conversation. And the King of Diamonds says, I'm energized when I work with a set schedule. And each card that Tracy also has a number 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Okay, so Tiagi, it's your job. You call out the style that you want them to guess first.
Okay. Look at all 1, 2, 3, and 4 and decide which number card is a considerate style. Which number card represents considerate style. Click the radio button below question 1 at the bottom of the screen or below the slide. Okay, Tracy, I'm going to be humming the Final Jeopardy tune.
I'm actually looking at the results, Tiagi, and so far I see that most people are choosing number 1. The second runner-up is number 2, and then number 4, and then and then, excuse me, number 3, number 2, number 4, number 1.
Okay. Which one did you say is the most popular one, Tracy?
The most popular one is number 3.
Okay. And what is the official correct answer, Tracy?
And you said consider it?
Yep.
Consider it was number 1. To avoid conflict, I often tell people what they want to hear. So if you answered number 1, which was one of you, you were correct. The consider it was another one. We're going to give you another chance. Tiagi, call out another personality profile.
Okay, how about spirited? Let us click under question number 2, the example of a spirited behavior, and use the radio buttons instead of the chat box, please. And congratulations, Alan.
And the results are coming in, Tiagi. Where's your music?
Ta-da! My sitar is broken.
Okay, so this time it looks like most people got it correct. If you voted on number 2, which was the 7 of hearts, you are correct. I seem to be popular with others. So that is absolutely correct. So you got the idea here when you're playing this game. Now, of course, we have adapted it for the webinar, but if you were in a face-to-face situation, the participants would be holding the cards. And there's a bunch of games you can play with these cards. We've just given you an example of one of them. But let's try another one now. Let's try a game. It's one of my favorites. It's called Straight. Just like if you were playing in poker or a game like that. Here are the directions. The directions are read the text on the 3 cards on the following slide and identify the personal style of each card. And this is somewhere you might want to jot it down, okay? So which ones that you've got. So I'm going to give you a second to look at the cards. And if you want to type it in the chat box, you can say the 8 of diamonds is this, but all we really need you to do is jot it down for yourself. Okay, you got it? So here we go. Next set of questions.
Okay, here are the instructions. You remember the 3 cards you saw before? If you have done it correctly, those 3 come from 3 different styles. Now, I'm going to show you 4 more cards, and one of them is the missing style. So select one card from the next slide, which we are going to see right now, and decide which one makes a straight set, meaning the previous 3 and this one will all be different. And please use question 3 under the slide where it says answer the questions here to indicate your choice.
Let me see if the responses are coming in. Music, please, Tiagi. Okay, most people voted for number 2, which was the 9 of diamonds, the systematic. And if you voted for number 2, you were correct. And again, this is another game that we've adapted for a webinar, but you can imagine setting up participants in a room and playing a game like this. Now, I tell you what I like about this. I use the HRDQ profiles all throughout my company. And every now and again, I have a team, and I've gone through the HRDQ profiles, and I've done it. But then they get a couple new team members, and they want me to come back. Well, that means that some of the participants have already gone through the training, and then I've got a bunch of new participants who haven't. So by having these other additional games that I can play with my teams, it gives me the opportunity to make it look fresh for the people who attended it before, but new, and provide the information that the new people need at the same time. So it's kind of a win-win situation. That's what I like about playing or having these card games in my toolkit. All right, well, let's play another set of games. These are called practical advice cards. And again, these are cards you can create yourself. Tiagi's created a bunch of practical advice cards on multiple topics, from customer service to leadership to interviewing and so forth. But we're going to show you how they look and how you can create your own. So Tiagi, you ready?
Yes, ma'am. So let's actually play one of the practical advice card games. And as you saw, these are 52 different cards, each card with a playing card designation and a piece of practical advice. In the game called Best Advice, what we are going to be doing is going to show you 4 different cards, and your job is to decide of these 4 cards which one is the best practical advice. These pieces of advice relate to communicating with a direct communicator. So Tracy, can we go to the next slide?
Here we go.
And the next one? Okay.
There we go. All right. So now we've adapted it again, this for the webinar. Typically the piece of advice would show up right on the card, but in order to make it visible for you, we've adapted it as you see it here. So I'm going to be quiet for a moment and let you read through each one of these pieces of advice, and then use your question number 4 radio buttons to vote which one do you think is the best piece of advice for communicating with a direct communicator. Dee, 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 dee.
Ah, you got the piano today.
Okay, so far people are liking number 2 and number 3. They have equal votes. So number 2 was keep your relationship businesslike when you're working with a direct communicator. And number 3 was be well organized when talking to a direct communicator. Very interesting. Okay, good. Now, when I have used this game in a real-life situation, in a face-to-face situation, I should say, is I've actually had 12 pieces of advice, and the group worked in teams, and they all had to decide which one was the best. So it wasn't an individual decision, it was a team decision, and they had to read through them all. Now, of course, as a facilitator, you don't care which one they chose, because the point is that you want them to read through it, and you want them to decide. And they're all good pieces of advice in reality, aren't they? But the benefit of it to the participants is that they're continually reviewing the material, and while they're fighting it out to say, no, I think the Queen of Spades is the best one, and somebody else says, no, I think the 7 of Diamonds, by defending their point of view, they're even drilling it in more what it takes to be a direct communicator or communicate to a direct communicator. So that's what the benefit it is. Now, one of my favorite pieces of advice that I've learned actually from Tiagi is the one that does the talking is the one that does the learning. And so you as a facilitator are quiet during this time, and meanwhile your participants are busily battling it out to decide which one is the best for a direct communicator. And of course, after this, you're going to pass out the cards for a spirited communicator and a systematic and a considerate. So in turn, they're going to go through all of them and build their fluency in each one of them. So that's one of the ideas, again, of using the practical advice cards. Now, these cards, again, are something that you can easily create on your own for your own benefit by just typing ideas up on cards. Anything you'd like to add to that, Tiagi?
There is a downloadable PDF book called Practical Advice Card Games. You can play 20 different games, and some of the games are meant for solitaire, one-person play. Some of the games can handle 100 players at the same time. And we primarily use them in a face-to-face, instructor-led classroom situation. Except, as you can see, we have also used them in a webinar situation. So the primary intent is in a classroom situation. You can download the book and find out how to play all other kinds of cards. The idea is you keep on playing them repeatedly so you master them more. And we played just 2, and the correct answer to the question, because Teresa wants, the correct answer is all of the above. Ha ha.
And one of the ways I've used this game too is just to ask different superfluous questions. So the one time I might ask what was the best, another time I might say which was the most challenging, or which would be the easiest to implement, or which would have the biggest impact. So you can see just by using the game as we've designed it right here and just changing the question, you can get more mileage out of these cards as you see them as well.
And Tracy, if I may add one more thing, one of the ways, Teresa, we can play this game is before asking them to select which card is the best, we ask the team as a whole to create a scenario. So one person may say, I'm working for a boss who is a total jerk. He never listens to me. He always talks fast. He is a direct communicator. How do I handle him? Now they can look at the cards and select the most appropriate card for a given situation.
Wonderful. All right, Tiagi, well, let's move along to the different type of card games, and these ones are called the fluency cards. You want to tell them a little bit about that?
Fluency primarily stands for your ability to recognize terminology, concepts, principles, and procedures rapidly. So if you're fluent with the personal style types, you should be able to look at somebody and say, she is a considerate person, or should be able to say, Zakia from California is a direct person because she types whatever she thinks in the chat box. So that is what fluency is all about. And as you can see on the next slide, there is a booklet which tells you how to play different games, and there are cards, each with different kinds for different tasks. Clubs, hearts, spades, and diamonds. One of them is a listing task, another one is a compare task, another one, hearts, is a draw task, another one is a role play or act task. Okay, Tracy, let's play a game. Show them one.
Okay, well, we've adapted again the cards so that it plays well on the webinar too. But again, so let's take a look at the first one. This is the fluency card game called List. So on this game, again, normally the text would be written on the card, but your job is to think of the things you would find on the desk of a systematic communicator. What would be on the desk of a systematic? Try to recall about the systematic communicator and type in the chat box the things you would find on their desk.
And just to remind you, the systematic communicator is slightly slower and task-oriented.
Very analytical.
Good.
Calendar, Rolodex, highlighter, yes. A to-do list, says Laura, absolutely. Spreadsheets, yeah, lots of paper. Organized, very organized files, right? A very clean desk, yeah, very large coffee cup. a few projects, okay, good. A planner, not much. Separate holders for pens and paper clips. Reference books, okay.
Enough. It's making me dizzy. This is definitely not what my desk looks like. So I guess I'm not a systematic communicator.
All right, well, let's try another one. We don't have a slide for it. Well, let's try another one, though. Let's try a spirited communicator. What would be on the desk of a spirited communicator? Type in the chat box.
Coffee stains.
It's true. Music. Many coffee stains. Oops. 3 phones. Okay, yeah, the cell phone, the extra phone, toys and games, right?
Wow, that's me. I got the toy. I got Slinky on top of my desk.
Tiagi, you're a spirited wannabe. You're not a full-fledged spirited like me.
Okay, I stand corrected. You definitely are not considerate.
Lots of pictures of friends, lots of quotes, right? Multiple projects, all of them half done. Pictures of their family, right? Chicken soup mixing. Oh, how did you know? Yeah, the desk does tend to be messy. Unfinished projects, a squishy ball. Exactly. Oh, you forgot about the candies on the desk, right? Because you got to have candies stuff everywhere. Yeah, need to clean up. You're absolutely right. All right, well, let's try another one. This is another one that would be part of the fluency deck. Why don't you describe this, Tiagi?
Okay, this one is a card called Compare, and this card contains 2 different concepts, and your job is to type or say one important similarity between these 2. In this case, what is one similarity between direct and considerate communicators? And also, what is one major important difference between a direct communicator and a considerate communicator? For our purposes right now, please type in a major difference between a direct communicator and a considerate communicator.
And remember, the direct was task-oriented, fast-paced, and the considerate was slower-paced and people-oriented.
I meant what is a difference? Let's forget the commonality. Let us look at what are the differences.
Okay, so they both get pissed off with spirited communicators. Hey, I should have read that before I read it out loud. Attention to people's feelings. Okay, direct tells, while considerate asks, right? Jean says tells versus asks. Time allotted to tasks, people's and meetings. Direct is decisive, considerate is not. Sam, their level of assertiveness, definitely, right?
Wonderful. Now, just for the slight changes, pace, what is one similarity, one common element, one thing similar between direct and considerate communicators?
People, okay, so we're still, in the chat box, there's still a lag effect. There's still people typing feet. Okay,
exactly.
Both. Okay, scolding versus redirectness. Redirections, okay. Oh, I like that word, redirection.
I'm going to say this directly, folks. Enough differences. Type similarities. Ah, good. Thank you, Jackie.
Both are human beings. That's the best Zelda could do. I know they're opposites, so it's hard to find similarities, right? They both want to succeed in the task. Okay, they just go about it in different ways.
And the similarity could be they both want their messages to get across. Ah, Pierre says both are fast. So that is a compare card in the fluency card deck. So what other card we have?
Well, Tiagi, we have a little time, so let's have them try another one. How about if they compare this time the considerate with the spirited?
Okay, you want similarity or difference, Trace?
I want similarities. The similarities between a spirited and a considerate.
Spirited and a considerate. As somebody will point out, they both irritated the systematic.
Okay, emotionally focused, says Mike.
I know another Mike Halperin, who is a commentator for MSNBC.
They're engaging, people-oriented. It's all about people, feelings-oriented, right?
Yep.
It's all about people. Both people-oriented, minimal personal space, right? They get up right close to you. Both are considerate, like to be close, and have a full desk. Oh, Mike is the one that gets mistaken for bad Pit, Tiagi.
That's right, Mike.
Actually, Rosie, the spirited are fast-paced, and the considerate are the slower-paced. So they have that as differences, but they both are people-oriented.
Okay, talking of differences, can somebody type differences between considerate and spirited? What's an important difference?
Both are people. Okay, so as far as differences go, what would you say some of the differences are? Yeah, the spirited tells more, the considerate asks.
Good.
They both enjoy talking to people. Asking versus tell, spirited is faster, exactly, Beth. So you can see this game gives you an opportunity to correct misunderstandings and to reinforce the correct understandings, right? Reinforce the right information.
And you guys did a great job. This lends itself to a nice play on a webinar. If you open up the chat box and let everybody see what's on the chat box, instead of people having to shout and trying to listen to each other.
Okay, well, let's try another one, Tiagi.
Good.
This one is the ACT card. So in this case, each participant is given a scenario on the card. So reading this scenario, which would normally appear on the card, it's called "You're Fired." And there's two roles in this case. So imagine you're sitting at a desk and one person pulls out the card and it says your role is to be the spirited manager and your partner's role is to be the systematic employee. And here's the situation. The manager must fire the employee, and the employee has evidence that the firing is not warranted. So Tiagi, you want to role play with me?
Sure. In the actual game, if we have the audio available, we can randomly select two participants or have them type on the chat box. But now I'm going to take on Tracy.
All right. Well, I want to be the manager since I know how to do spirited quite well. How's that?
Sounds good.
All right.
No problem.
So you're the systematic employee. Are you ready?
Ready.
All right. Well, Tiagi, I'm really glad you came into my office because I remember when you were telling me that you wanted some time off and you wanted to have more time to be with your family, you wanted more time to play golf, and more time just to do those things that you like to do. Well, I have great news for you because now you're going to have more time. We're going to be letting some people go, and you just happen to be on the list. So isn't that great news?
Hey, let us call a spade. Factually, you're saying I'm fired?
No. Well, you know, we are going to let you go, but the good side about it is that you're going to have all that time to do those things that you really wanted to do.
Do you know what you're doing? And I better write this down. Do you know what you're doing is a violation of a company policy on page 37, termination? You should have documented all of these things in writing before you spring it all on me suddenly.
Tiagi, don't worry about all those little details. You know what? Just enjoy this time. This is going to be great for you.
I'm going to have a great time. Let me tell you, let me give a call to Mike Halperin, who is my lawyer, and he specializes in illegal termination of jobs. And, okay, I also have a friend, Beth, who was fired under the same, let go under the same circumstances. We are going to organize ourselves into a union, Tracy.
Well, I think folks get the idea of how this game works. So people
just getting warmed up.
People would act out a simple scenario, and then the team can either vote on which, if they did it well, they can do it on a rating scale. I mean, you can make up your rating scale or how you want to manage this game as you like. But there are instructions that are included. You want to try one more, Tiagi? We've got a little extra time. Do you want to try the same scenario, but this time we are a direct and a considerate employee?
And I'm still going to be fired?
You can do the firing this time.
Okay.
You'll be the direct manager, or do you want to be the considerate?
No, I want to be the direct manager.
Okay, I'll be the considerate employee.
Hello, Tracy. Welcome. I'm not going to beat around the bush. Things are tough. You're fired.
What do you mean I'm fired? I love working here. I've worked here for 20 years. This is my home. This is my friends. This is my family. I can't imagine not being here. What do you mean? What did I do?
This is not an entitlement project. Everybody nowadays is self-employed. My best wishes for you, and you will draw your final check next week. And before you go, make sure the security people help you clear your desk.
Tiagi, I understand it's difficult for you. These are hard times for the company, and I know you have done your best. I just love working here so much, and you've been such a wonderful boss, and I really want to thank you for the opportunity that you've given me so far.
Wonderful. Thank you. And because I care about your future well-being, I will refer you to our corporate psychiatrist, Teresa, who will do outplacement help. She will help you how to write your resume so you can get a job that fully utilizes your wonderful talents, Tracy.
Well, good. So you get the idea. Now, there's, of course, a lot of situations. I think there's 10 or 12 situations, Tiagi, in each pack, so that you can have a variety of situations. This is just one where we gave the example of you're fired. Now, we would like to give you an opportunity now to take another self-assessment. Remember, you took a self-assessment after we gave you the content before, but before we played the games. Now I'd like you to rate yourself again on a scale of 1 to 5. How would you rate yourself as far as your ability to understand the HRDQ profile styles, personality communication styles? Are you 1, not confident at all, you still don't get it? Or are you 5, super duper confident now? You're an expert. So if you could type your answer in the chat box. Let's see how people did, Tiagi. Oh, Tiagi said a 1. Okay, 3 to 4, but I'm cheating. I was looking at the grid. Okay, 4. 4 to 5 still. Okay, says Beth. Now, if we were doing this in a classroom situation, we would probably provide the grid to everybody all along the way, right? So they could be looking at the profiles. And this might be after some more content had been provided to them initially. Of course, we just gave you a quick overview so that you would have some content to deal with when we were playing the card games. But you get the idea. I hope you get the idea, right? Yeah. So if you, Tiagi, did you want to add anything to that?
No.
Okay. So if you want to play card games, this is, again, our challenge to you, our invitation to you. First of all is to make your own card games, right? You can do it on paper, on cardstock paper. You can use your own to make your own cards. It's really not a very difficult thing to do. It is a little time consuming, but it's definitely something that you can do. What are some other options, Tiagi?
You can go to the HRDQ-store.com and purchase the Playing with the Style. Something happened to my screen. So you can buy it from HRDQ and you can use the available ready-made game on personal styles.
And I see a lot of people are saying they can't get the handout. Maybe Lana can address that in just a moment. I know it's a downloadable. If you scroll down below the chat box, I see it there on my screen. You can also go to Tiagi.com. Tiagi.com also has a store, and there are many, many games, including lots of card games there on a variety of different topics. So that's available to you too. But we really encourage you to plagiarize these games and make them your own and create your own games. And by the way, when you do, share in the HRDQ blog how you use the games or what you did, or write to Tiagi. Tiagi has a website also. Write to us and let us know how you use the games so that we can include them in future webinars and in future booklets. We also invite you to follow us on Twitter. HRDQ has a Twitter. They're offering free and discounted opportunities all the time, as well as reminders about upcoming webinars. Tiagi tweets multiple times every single day. He gives great pieces of advice on different topics. And you can also follow me on Twitter as well. So I tweet on different topics of interest to me. So we encourage you to follow us on Twitter. We have free games, we have pieces of advice, links to things that we like. So we encourage you and hope you'll do that as well. So with that, Lana, do you have anything you want to say to wrap this up?
Thanks so much, Tracy. Thank you so much, Tiagi, for everything. This was great, really a lot of fun. And the chat window has been a lot of fun, too, watching everyone participate. We do have a little time for questions, but before that, let's use the question box below so I can get your questions down at the bottom there. That would be great. And Tracy, if you would just advance the screen to the last slide for me, that would be awesome. Thank you so much for that. While we wait for the questions to come in, let me share just a little bit about the program, the Playing with Style program that we were talking about today. Playing with Style was developed by Tiagi and Tracy as a supplemental learning tool to the HRDQ Style Series assessments. With these 10 card games, participants can leave your training session prepared to transfer their learning to the workplace and put their knowledge to immediate action. The complete game kit includes enough materials for groups of 3 to 20 participants, and additional card decks are available if you're holding larger sessions. For joining us today, you can receive 25% off the complete kit plus any accessories. The coupon code is WebinarPlay, as you see there on the screen. And that is good at the HRDQ store through June 12th. If you scroll down, you'll see a picture of the Playing with Style game kit there. Just click that, and you'll go into the store. But I encourage you to hit Control and then click, and that way you'll open up in a new screen. But you can go there directly from here. Okay, we have a few questions coming in. Let's get started.
And Lana, I saw some people had written in the chat box that it was difficult to download the handbook. Is there a glitch there, or?
I think we're having, and I was going to address this later, but I'll go ahead and address it now. We are having a bandwidth issue. So many people are on. It's just a great problem to have, actually. So many people are on that the memory of the website is being taxed, and it's slowing things down, and sometimes people are getting an error message when actually it's there. It's just busy. So over the next 2 weeks before our next event, we're going to be looking at expanding our bandwidth and getting more memory in here so we can handle the volume of people who are participating. So it's all good.
What would you recommend to the people who would want to get that handout?
We're going to be sending that out in the post-event email. We'll send it out. Both the handout and the free ebook links will be in the post-event email. So at that point, you know, the memory issue won't be a problem. You'll be able to go pick up your
Wonderful.
PDF file. Yeah, we always do that. So, and also the recording will be coming out in a little while, and we'll send the email with a link to the recording as well.
Wonderful.
Okay, on to questions. Shauna asks, what should you do if you don't have a lot of time to play card games?
You can always give them a deadly dull, boring lecture and put them to sleep. My theory is if you have limited time, let them do something interactive and active, because ultimately your goal is for people to master and apply what they have learned rather than just being exposed to the content. As my great friend Harold Stolowitz says, telling ain't training, so whatever you do, it does not have to be a mile wide and an inch deep. Just take some key concepts and have people interact with them, interact with each other, and interact with you. That is just one person's opinion. Here is a considerate opinion from Tracy.
You mean spirited. If you don't have time for card games, I agree with Tyagi. Do something else. One of the games I like to play is just have people stand up and share with each other. What do you think was the most important thing that we've talked about so far? And share that idea with each other, or which idea would have the biggest impact. And again, it doesn't matter what answer they say to each other. The important part is that they reflect. Reflect back on what you said and then say it for themselves. So that's the important part. So if you don't have time for a card game, there's other alternatives that you can do. Again, the one who does the talking is the one that does the learning. Isn't that correct, Tyagi?
That is true, ma'am. You're learning a lot.
Okay, that was a great answer. Do something else besides playing card games. Okay, our next question. Mark says, do you ever get any negative reactions to playing with cards specifically?
No, there are some people who have problems with the playing card types of things. So you don't have to call them playing cards. You call them non-computerized group decision support system or modified Delphi technique. And instead of having card designations like King of Spades, just type the content on a card and put a number to refer back to the feedback table. So some people may have minor problems, but I have played these games for the last 20 years around the world, and I haven't had anybody say, I don't want to play card games. I think the key is how relevant people feel the content, the game, the activity is. As long as you keep on relating it to that job, you will have no problem.
Okay, great, great. Someone on the chat asked, how do we receive templates for the cards? Would you like to address that one?
If you take a look at the practical advice card deck, you will see that. And also, if you go to my website, and the website has nearly 400 different games, all free for downloading for you, and we believe in an open technology approach. And if you do a search for card games, there is a little search engine in the website. Search for card games, and you will see a lot of pieces of information regarding templates for card games and templates for cards. And if you're talking about the technical template, the graphic template, send me an email and I will tell you an online area where the card game template is located free of charge.
Awesome. Thank you so
By the
much
way,
for that.
talking of email, my email is at tyagi@tyagi.com.
Oh, that's a great email, Tyagi. Everybody can remember that one. Okay, that's going to be it for today. We're 1 minute before the hour. Everybody has to run to something else. I just want to say thank you so much, Tyagi and Tracy, for being with us today. This has been awesome.
Thank you, Lana, and thanks everybody for your wonderful participation, and thanks, partner.
Oh, you're welcome. And congratulations, Lana, on this beautiful platform. It worked great today.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tracy. Thank you for working with us as we got through all the little glitches we were dealing with. Awesome.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye. If you didn't get an answer to your question, you'll get an email response early next week. And be sure to look for us over on social media, HRDQ-U, and especially in our new LinkedIn group. Thank you so much for your time, and hope you found the webinar informative. Bye now.